My sister Jasmine wanted a fairy tale wedding. My mother wanted a coronation for her favorite daughter. They both made one thing very clear to me. Serena, you are not welcome. You are too dark. You are too broke. You will ruin the aesthetic of the bridal party. So I did exactly what they asked. I stayed away. 4,000 miles away to be exact. But right now, as I sip vintage Dom Pérignon on the deck of a 7-star yacht in the middle of the Caribbean, I have the best seat in the house. Because I am watching their perfect day burn to the ground on a 4K live stream, and the 110 missed calls on my phone tell me they finally realized who actually holds the purse strings. My name is Serena, and at 32 years old, I officially retired from being the family doormat. Before I tell you how I turned their humiliation into my entertainment, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if you have ever been the black sheep who ended up owning the whole pasture. The breeze off the coast of St. Bart's is gentle today, carrying the scent of salt and expensive sunscreen. Everything on the Evrima yacht is designed for silence. The staff moves like ghosts. The ice settles in the crystal buckets without a sound. It is paradise. But the iPad Pro propped up against the fruit platter on my teak table is screaming chaos. On the screen, my little sister Jasmine looks like a beauty queen in the middle of a breakdown. Her $12,000 Vera Wang dress is sweeping up spilled red wine from the floor of the historic venue she insisted on renting. People are running. The lights are flickering. And in the corner of the frame I can see Connor, her groom. The man my mother swore was the heir to a banking dynasty. He looks like a trapped animal sweating through a suit that I am 90% sure is a rental. My phone vibrates against the glass tabletop. It is a violent, angry buzz that disrupts the peace. I look down. The screen reads, Mother, missed call number 111. My fiancé Dante looks up from his book. He is a man of few words, a top-tier intellectual property lawyer who knows more about my net worth than my own parents do. He adjusts his sunglasses and nods at the phone. Answer it, he says calmly. You paid for this roaming plan. You might as well get your money is worth. I slide my finger across the screen and put it on speaker. Serena. The scream that comes out of the phone is so loud that a waiter standing 10 feet away actually flinches. It is my mother, Patricia. Where are you? Why have you not been answering? Do you have any idea what is happening here? I take a slow sip of champagne, letting the bubbles dance on my tongue before I speak. My voice is steady. It is the voice of a woman who owns 3 holding companies, not the voice of the scared little girl they used to bully. Hello, Mother. I am on vacation. Just like you suggested. Remember, you said it would be best if I took a trip during the wedding. You said my presence would be distracting. Don't you dare get smart with me right now, Serena. Her voice cracks. She is panicking. I can hear the background noise on her end. Glass breaking. People shouting. Someone demands a refund in the distance. We have a situation. A banking error. Connor's cards are frozen. The venue manager is threatening to cut the power completely if we do not wire $50,000 in the next 10 minutes. We need your savings. I almost laugh. My savings. To them, my savings is probably $2,000 tucked under a mattress. They think I am a data entry clerk. They have no idea that I bought this yacht trip with the dividends from a single quarter. $50,000, I repeat slowly. That is a lot of money, Mother, especially for someone who wasn't even good enough to sit at the back table near the kitchen. Serena, stop being petty. This is your sister's big day. The Wentworth family is embarrassed. Connor is humiliated. Just transfer the money. I will make sure Connor pays you back double when the bank sorts this out on Monday. You know he is good for it. He is a Wentworth. I look at the screen. Connor is currently arguing with a waiter. He is not acting like a Wentworth. He is acting like a man who knows his check is about to bounce higher than a basketball. Mom, I say, leaning back into the plush white cushions. Do you remember 2 weeks ago? We were at dinner. I offered to help with the deposit for the flowers. just a small gesture. And Jasmine laughed. She said, and I quote, "We don't need your little pennies, Serena. We want this wedding to look high class. We don't want it to look like us." I paused, letting the memory hang in the air. She meant me, Mom. She meant she didn't want it to look black. She wanted the light skin aesthetic. She wanted the Boston Brahmin look. Well, looking at the live stream right now, it looks pretty chaotic. You ungrateful little brat. The mask slips. The desperation turns into the rage I know so well. After everything we did for you, we took you in when you failed out of law school. I didn't fail out. I dropped out to start my own firm, but I never corrected them. We let you live in the basement. And now when the family is in crisis, you are going to let your sister be humiliated over money. You are jealous. That is what this is. You are jealous because Jasmine found a high-value man and you are still single and bitter. Dante reaches over and squeezes my hand. His diamond-encrusted Patek Philippe watch catches the sunlight. He winks at me. I am not jealous, Mother. And I am not single. But that is a story for another time. Listen, I don't have $50,000 to send you. You are lying. I know you have a stash. You always were a hoarder. I don't have it for you, I correct her. And even if I did, I wouldn't send it. Because I am watching the live stream, Mom. And I think you are focusing on the wrong problem. What are you talking about? I zoom in on the iPad screen. The resolution is crystal clear. Look at the catering staff, Mom. Look at the head waiter, the tall man in the black vest near the exit. I don't care about the help, Serena. Send the money. Just look, I insist. On the screen, the head waiter is on a walkie-talkie. He isn't looking at the manager. He is looking directly at Connor. And he isn't smiling. He is signaling to two large men in suits standing by the service entrance. Mom, those aren't catering staff. Those are process servers. Or maybe debt collectors. And they are not waiting for the cake cutting. What? Connor is not having a banking error, Mom. I think your golden boy is about to be arrested. And if I were you, I would worry less about my savings account and more about why the police just pulled into the driveway. I hang up. The silence returns to the deck, sweet and heavy. But on the screen, the sound has been cut, yet the image speaks volumes. The two men in suits are moving through the crowd. Connor sees them. The color drains from his face, making him look paler than the napkins. He starts to back away towards the kitchen doors. Dante pours me another glass. "Do you think she believed you?" he asks. "She never believes me," I say, watching my sister grab Connor's arm on the screen, her face twisted in confusion. She only believes what she wants to see. But I have a feeling reality is about to crash that party harder than anyone else. The screen flickers. The camera holder, probably one of Jasmine's fake friends, is moving closer to the action. "This is it," I whisper. I settle in. The Caribbean sun is warm, but the shade coming from that wedding tent is freezing cold, and I am going to enjoy every second of it. Because what my mother doesn't know, what none of them know, is that the debt collectors aren't the only surprise guests today. I tap the screen, switching apps to my email. There is a draft folder open. Subject line: Deed of Trust Transfer. Recipient Venue Management. They think they are being kicked out because of a declined credit card. They are about to find out they are trespassing on my property. But I will let them sweat for a few more minutes. After all, the appetizers haven't even been served yet. The silence after I ended the call with my mother was heavy but sweet. It tasted like victory. I placed my phone face down on the white linen tablecloth, the screen now dark, but the chaos on the iPad was only intensifying. It is funny how memories work. Seeing my sister Jasmine hyperventilating on a screen 4,000 miles away transported me back instantly to a moment just 2 weeks ago. It was the night of the rehearsal dinner, an event I was graciously allowed to attend only because an aunt had canceled at the last minute, and they needed to fill a seat to keep the table numbers even. We were at Le Jardin, a bistro my mother adored because she thought the French name made us sound more sophisticated. Jasmine had been holding court at the head of the table, her hands suspended in the air, like she was waiting for someone to kiss a royal ring. And what a ring it was. 5 carats, cushion cut, a monster of a stone that seemed to swallow her slender finger whole. She had waved it in my face, nearly taking my eye out, and the smirk on her face was sharper than the diamond itself. "Look at it closely, Serena," she had said, her voice dripping with that fake pity she had perfected over the years. "I know you have probably never seen anything of this clarity up close. Connor went to a private jeweler in Antwerp for this. He said nothing in the States was good enough for his queen." My mother had beamed, patting Jasmine's hand. She looked at me with that familiar disappointment. "It is an investment-grade stone," Serena, Mom added. "Maybe if you had applied yourself more in school instead of dropping out to do that little data entry job, you could attract a man of Connor's caliber. But we all know men like Connor want women who fit a certain aesthetic." I had said nothing. I just took a sip of my water and looked at the ring. Really looked at it. You see, when you spend your days analyzing assets and purchasing distressed luxury estates, you learn a thing or two about value. You learn to spot the difference between real wealth and a desperate attempt to look rich. A real diamond of that size has a depth to it, a cold white fire. But the stone on Jasmine's finger was throwing off rainbows. It was refracting light like a disco ball. It was too brilliant, too colorful. It was moissanite. High-quality moissanite, sure, but definitely not a diamond from Antwerp. It was a $300 stone in a $50 setting. But I didn't say a word. I just smiled the smile of a sister who knows her time will come. "You are right, Jasmine," I had said. "I could work a lifetime in data entry and never afford a ring like that." Back on the deck of the Evrima, the warm Caribbean breeze snaps me back to the present. I look at the iPad. That same ring is now clutched tightly around a microphone as Jasmine tries to scream over the murmuring crowd. But the camera has shifted. It is focused on Connor now. The groom is standing on a raised platform near the DJ booth. The visual contrast is staggering. 2 weeks ago, he was the arrogant heir bragging about his family's estate in the Hamptons. Now he looks like a man drowning on dry land. "Ladies and gentlemen," Connor's voice booms through the iPad speakers, cracking slightly on the high notes. "Please everyone remain calm. We are experiencing a minor technical difficulty with the venue's payment processor. It seems their system is down. It is a glitch on their end. I have already instructed my father to call the bank president directly to override this incompetence." He laughs, but it is a hollow sound, a sound devoid of humor. "Please help yourselves to the champagne while we sort this out. The power will be back on in moments." Dante leans forward, his eyes narrowed behind his sunglasses. As a lawyer who specializes in high-stakes negotiations, he reads people for a living. He points a finger at the screen, tapping the glass right over Connor's chest. "Look at that," Dante says softly, his voice low and analytical. "Look at what I ask, though I already see it." "Look at his left hand," Dante instructs. "He is wiping it on his trousers every 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4 wipe, 1, 2, 3, 4 wipe. That is a self-soothing gesture. He is trying to literally wipe away the guilt. And look at his neck." I zoom in. Even in the slightly grainy footage of the live stream, the sweat is visible. It is soaking through the collar of his custom-made dove gray suit. It is not just the heat of the venue, though the air conditioning has been off for 20 minutes now. It is the cold sweat of panic. "He is lying," Dante states matter-of-factly. "He is not calling his father. He knows his father isn't going to pick up. He is checking his phone to see if he can move money from one maxed-out credit card to another. He is playing a shell game, Serena, and he just ran out of shells." I watch as Connor puts the microphone down and immediately pulls his phone from his pocket. His thumbs are flying across the screen. He is frantic. He looks up, scanning the room, his eyes darting from the angry caterers to the confused guests. He is looking for an exit. My mother is now in the frame. She is rushing towards him, her face a mask of concern. She grabs his arm, probably asking him when the wire transfer is coming through. Connor pulls away from her. It is a subtle movement, a slight jerk of the shoulder, but it speaks volumes. The facade of the loving son-in-law is cracking. He is about to bolt, I say, taking a bite of a perfectly grilled prawn. He is realizing that he can't charm his way out of a $50,000 debt. Dante shakes his head. He won't make it to the parking lot. Look at the perimeter. I scan the edges of the video frame. The two men in suits I saw earlier haven't left. They have moved closer. They are flanking the exit like gargoyles. They aren't looking at the bride. They aren't looking at the decor. They are locked onto Connor. You know, I say, resting my chin on my hand. Jasmine told me that ring was worth $50,000, the exact amount they owe the venue right now. If it were real, she could take it off her finger, hand it to the manager, and save the wedding. Dante chuckles, a deep rumble in his chest. But if she does that, everyone will know. Exactly, I reply. She is trapped. If she offers the ring as collateral, they will appraise it and realize it is fake. If she keeps it, she gets evicted from her own wedding. She is caught between her vanity and her reality. On the screen, a guest in the front row stands up. It is Mrs. Henderson, the head of the local garden club, a woman my mother was desperate to impress. She is fanning herself aggressively with a program. She says something to Jasmine, pointing at the melting ice sculpture of a swan. Jasmine looks horrified. The carefully curated illusion of the perfect American aristocracy is melting right along with that ice. It is starting to turn, Dante observes. The crowd is shifting. They are not sympathetic anymore. They are annoyed. They are hot. They are hungry. And they are realizing they dressed up for a farce. I watch Connor wipe his hands on his pants again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wipe. He is running out of time, I whisper. And then it happens. The live stream audio picks up a sound that cuts through the murmuring crowd. It is the distinct, high-pitched feedback of a megaphone. Attention, please. The voice does not belong to Connor. It does not belong to the DJ. The camera pans wildly to the left. Standing at the main entrance, silhouetted against the afternoon sun, is the venue manager. And he is not alone. Beside him stands a uniformed police officer. My mother's face on the screen goes slack. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Dante picks up his glass and clinks it against mine. Showtime, he says. I lean back, the taste of champagne crisp on my tongue. The lie is over. The glamour is gone. Now we get to see what happens when the lights go out and the cockroaches have nowhere left to hide. The Caribbean sun is hot, but it is a dry heat, the kind that feels luxurious against skin slathered in expensive oil. But 4,000 miles away, inside the glass-walled conservatory that my sister insisted on booking for her reception, the heat is becoming a weapon. On my iPad screen, I watch the precise moment the venue manager makes good on his threat. The low hum of the industrial air conditioning units, a sound you only notice when it is gone, suddenly cuts out. The silence that follows is brief, replaced almost instantly by a collective groan from 200 guests. It is 95 degrees in Atlanta today with 80% humidity. That conservatory is effectively a greenhouse. Without climate control, it is not a ballroom anymore. It is a terrarium, and the specimens inside are starting to wilt. I take a grape from the fruit platter and pop it into my mouth, savoring the cool burst of sweetness. Watching my sister Jasmine right now is like watching a wax figure left too close to a fire. She spent 3 hours in the makeup chair this morning. She hired a celebrity artist who charges $2,000 for a bridal look, but no amount of setting spray can withstand the laws of thermodynamics. Her foundation, which was shade-matched to perfection to highlight her lighter complexion, is beginning to separate. Dark streaks of mascara are pooling in the corners of her eyes, not from tears of joy, but from the sheer physical stress of sweating in a 30-pound gown. Her hair, silk pressed and styled into an intricate updo, is starting to frizz at the edges. The humidity is reclaiming her. The carefully constructed image of the perfect, effortless princess is literally melting off her face. Dante leans over my shoulder, pointing at the screen. Look at the guests, he says. They are turning on them. He is right. The wealthy friends Connor invited, the banking associates and country club members, are not people who tolerate discomfort. They are fanning themselves aggressively with the heavy cardstock menus. Men are loosening ties. Women are dabbing their upper lips with napkins, their expressions shifting from polite confusion to open irritation. They did not sign up for a sauna. They came for free champagne and networking, and they are getting neither. But the real show is not Jasmine's melting face. It is my mother. Patricia Patton has never handled stress well. Her coping mechanism is aggression specifically directed at people she views as beneath her. On the screen, she is cornering the venue manager, a man named Mr. Henderson. I know Mr. Henderson. I know him very well, though my mother has no idea. She is waving a finger in his face, her neck veins bulging. Even without sound, her body language screams entitlement. But I turn the volume up because I want to hear every word. I want to hear the specific vocabulary of her prejudice. You are incompetent. My mother shrieks, her voice echoing off the glass walls. Do you have any idea who we are? Do you know who my son-in-law is? We are paying you thousands of dollars to provide a service, and you are treating us like animals. Turn the air conditioning back on right now, or I will have your job. I will sue this entire facility into bankruptcy. Mr. Henderson stands his ground. He is a tall man dignified with patience that I honestly admire. He clasps his hands behind his back and speaks calmly, though I can see the tightness in his jaw. Mrs. Patton, he says, his voice steady. As I explained to the groom, the contract clearly states that all balances must be settled prior to the start of the event. We provided a grace period of 2 hours. That grace period has expired. The cooling system along with the catering service is suspended until payment is rendered in full. My mother laughs a shrill, ugly sound. Payment? You think we don't have the money? We are the Pattons. My son-in-law is a Wentworth. You are just a hired hand. You are probably doing this because you are jealous. You people always try to ruin things for us when we succeed. There it is. You people. The coded language she loves to use when she feels threatened by someone she considers a servant. She is insulting the man holding the power switch, thinking her imagined status will intimidate him. She has spent her whole life believing that being light-skinned and marrying a man with a steady job made her aristocracy. She forgot that in the real world, cash is king, and right now she is a pauper. I pick up my second phone. This is my secure line, the one I use for business dealings that require discretion. I scroll through my contacts and find the number saved under M. Henderson. Dante raises an eyebrow. You are calling him? He asks. I nod. He needs to know he has support. I press the call button. On the live stream, I see Mr. Henderson reach into his pocket. He looks at the screen, frowns slightly, and then answers. He brings the phone to his ear, turning away from my mother's screaming face. This is Henderson, he says, sounding exhausted. Hello, Marcus, I say softly. It is Serena, the silent partner. On the screen, I see his posture straighten. He looks around the room confused. Ms. Jones, he says, using my business name. I did not expect to hear from you. We are having a bit of a situation here. The client is refusing to pay and becoming abusive. I know, Marcus. I am watching. You are watching. I am looking at the live stream, I explain. Listen to me carefully. The woman screaming at you is my mother. There is a long pause. On the screen, I see him glance back at Patricia, who is now physically grabbing his sleeve. He looks terrified that he has offended the owner. Ms. Jones. I am so sorry, I didn't know. Don't apologize, I cut him off. And do not turn that air conditioning back on. I beg your pardon. You heard me. My mother is a woman who responds only to consequences. If you give in now, if you turn the power back on because she bullied you, you will never see that money. Connor does not have it. The check they eventually write you will bounce. I watch him nod slowly on the screen. He is listening. Follow the protocol, Marcus. No exceptions. If they want cool air, they pay. If they want food, they pay. If she touches you one more time, you call the officers standing at the door, and you have her removed for assault. Do not let her lineage or her shouting intimidate you. You have my full authorization to shut it all down. Thank you, Ms. Jones, he says, and I can hear the relief in his voice. I will proceed as directed. He hangs up. I watch as he turns back to my mother. She is still mid-rant, probably threatening to call the mayor. Mr. Henderson simply steps back, brushes off the sleeve of his jacket where she grabbed him and signals to his staff. The lights in the hallway flicker and die. The emergency exit signs glow an eerie green. The backup generator is only running the bare minimum now. The music stops completely. The silence is heavy, broken only by the sound of my sister sobbing and my mother gasping for air in the stifling heat. Dante kisses my forehead. "That was cold," he says, admiringly. "No," I reply, watching sweat drip down my mother's furious red face. "That was business. And business is just heating up. The guests are standing up now. The murmurs are turning into shouts. Someone throws a napkin on the floor. The rebellion has begun." And I sit back enjoying the cool ocean breeze, waiting for the moment they realize that the heat is the least of their problems. Because the police officers at the door just received a radio call, and they are starting to walk toward the head table. The difference between a 7-star experience and a disaster usually comes down to one thing: logistics. On the deck of the Avrima, logistics are invisible. My private chef, a quiet man named Henri, places a plate in front of me. On it sits 4 ounces of A5 Japanese Wagyu beef, seared to a perfect medium rare. The marble score is a 12, the highest possible grade. It glistens under the Caribbean sun, smelling of rosemary and truffle butter. Beside me, Dante is cutting into his own steak, the knife sliding through the meat as if it were softened butter. We are eating the best food in the world, surrounded by an endless blue ocean. 4,000 miles away, the 200 guests at my sister Jasmine's wedding are realizing that the miniature crab cakes they ate 2 hours ago were not just the appetizer. They were the entire meal. I wipe the corner of my mouth with a linen napkin and tap the screen of my iPad. The camera angle has shifted again. We are no longer in the ballroom. The cameraman, bless his messy heart, has followed the bride out through the service doors and into the loading dock area. This is where the real drama is happening. The loading dock is a concrete oven. Without the shade of the conservatory, the afternoon sun is brutal. Parked right there, tantalizingly close, are 2 large refrigerated trucks from the Golden Palette, the premier catering company in the city. The engines are humming, keeping the filet mignon and lobster tails chilled, while the guests inside are slowly roasting in their own hunger. Standing between the trucks and the venue doors is the head chef. I recognize him. That is Chef Marcus. He is a large man, a culinary artist who does not suffer fools, and right now he looks like a stone wall in a chef's coat. His arms are crossed over his chest and he is shaking his head slowly. Jasmine is screaming. It is a primal sound stripped of all the fake elegance she tried to project earlier. Her dress, the bottom hem now gray with dust from the loading dock floor, is bunched up in her hands. "Open the trucks," she screeches, pointing a manicured finger at his face. "My guests are starving. We have a contract. You are ruining my reception." Chef Marcus does not flinch. He does not raise his voice. He simply speaks the truth loud enough for the camera to pick up. "We have a contract that stipulates payment upon arrival," he says calmly. "My drivers have been sitting here for 90 minutes, the food is prepped, the plating team is ready. But until I see a confirmation number from my bank, those doors stay locked. I run a business, ma'am, not a soup kitchen. How dare you?" Jasmine yells, stomping her foot like a toddler. "Do you know who my husband is? He is a Wentworth. His father owns half the city. You will never work in this town again. I will bury you on social media. Do what you have to do." Marcus replies, turning to check his watch. "But you have 15 minutes before food safety regulations require me to discard the seafood. Once that lobster hits the danger zone temperature, I am legally required to throw it in the trash." The clock is ticking. Jasmine gasps. The threat of losing the lobster, the symbol of the wealth she is pretending to have, pushes her over the edge. She fumbles for her phone, her hands shaking so badly she almost drops it. "Fine," she spits out. "You want to play hardball? Let us see how you like being famous." She opens Instagram and starts a live stream on her own account. I switch tabs on my iPad instantly. I want to see this from her perspective. I want to see exactly how she frames her own destruction. Her face fills the screen. It is a disaster. The heat has destroyed her makeup. Her eyeliner is running down her cheeks in dark rivulets. Her hair is matted to her forehead with sweat, but she puts on that fake influencer smile, the one that never reaches her eyes. "Hi guys," she says, her voice trembling with manufactured outrage. "I am so sorry to bring this negativity to your timeline on my special day, but I need your help. The Golden Palette Catering Company is literally holding my wedding hostage. They are refusing to feed my guests because of a tiny banking error. Look at this man." She flips the camera to show Chef Marcus, who is just standing there looking bored. He is refusing to serve food to children and elderly people, Jasmine narrates, trying to sound like a victim. "Please tag them. Spam their comments. Let them know that we do not support businesses that ruin dreams." Wedding nightmare. Boycott Golden Palette. She turns the camera back to herself, squeezing out a single dramatic tear. "I just wanted everything to be perfect," she whimpers. "And he is being so mean to me." I look over at Dante. He is chewing his steak slowly, his eyes fixed on the comment section of Jasmine's live stream. "Is she reading the room?" Dante asks. "No," I reply, scrolling through the flood of messages appearing on the side of the screen. "She thinks she is the hero of this story. She thinks because she is light-skinned and pretty and crying, the internet will rally to save her. She forgot one thing." "What is that?" "The internet hates a liar," I say. "And the internet definitely hates people who mistreat service workers." I start reading the comments out loud. User Shelly writes, "Girl, wipe your face. You look like a raccoon. If the card declined, just say that." User Mic Drop says, "I drive a truck. We don't unlock the back until the check clears. That is standard procedure." "Why are you yelling at a working man because your husband is broke?" User Real Talk, Adel comments. "Wait, isn't that a rental suit on the groom? I saw that same gray suit at Men's Warehouse last week." "Stop trying to flex if you can't pay the chef." Team Chef Marcus all day. The comments are flying by faster than I can read them. They are brutal. They are dissecting everything: her hair, her dress, her attitude, the background of the loading dock. "Someone noticed the timeline," I say, pointing to a comment from a user named Truthseeker. They wrote, "You have been live for 5 minutes and you haven't shown a single receipt. If it is a banking error, show the transaction pending. Why are you asking us to bully a small business when you are the one who didn't pay?" On the screen, Jasmine is reading the comments too. Her expression shifts from smug satisfaction to horror. She expected an army of supporters. Instead, she got a reality check. "What is wrong with you people?" she yells at her phone, breaking character. "Why are you attacking me? I am the bride. I am the victim here." "Jasmine, sweetheart," I whisper to the screen. "You are not the victim. You are the villain. And you just broadcast your villainy to 12,000 people." Chef Marcus steps forward. He checks his watch again. 10 minutes, he announces loudly. 10 minutes, and the lobster goes in the dumpster. I suggest you go find a checkbook or maybe order some pizzas, though I doubt Domino's takes IOUs. Jasmine screams again, a sound of pure frustration, and ends the live stream. But the damage is done. The internet never forgets. Someone has already screen recorded it. By tomorrow morning, she will be a meme. I cut another piece of Wagyu beef. It melts in my mouth, rich and savory. The contrast is delicious. My sister is standing in a dirty loading dock, sweating through her designer gown, being roasted by strangers on the internet while her guests starve. And I am here floating on the Caribbean Sea, enjoying the finest meal of my life. "You know," Dante says, wiping his mouth, "I almost feel bad for the guests. They didn't do anything wrong. They enabled her," I reply, taking a sip of red wine. "They fed her ego for years. They told her she was better than me because of her skin tone. They told her she deserved the world just for existing. Now they are getting a front row seat to the truth. Hunger has a way of clarifying things." I look back at the venue camera. Jasmine is walking back inside, defeated. She has to face those 200 hungry people empty-handed. She has to look her husband in the eye and realize he is powerless. And the best part is she still doesn't know who actually owns the building she is standing in. She thinks the chef is her enemy. She has no idea that the real boss is watching from a yacht, and I haven't even played my best card yet. More wine, I ask Dante. Please, he says. I have a feeling the speeches are going to be incredibly dry, so we should stay hydrated. You know the old saying about rats fleeing a sinking ship? Well, watching my sister Jasmine's wedding on this iPad is proving that rats also wear Louboutins and rented tuxedos. The deterioration of the crowd is fascinating to watch. 30 minutes ago, these people were fighting to get into the frame of Jasmine's selfies. They were posturing, name-dropping, and acting like they were the elite of Atlanta society. But now that the air conditioning is dead and the rumors of bankruptcy are circulating, the loyalty has evaporated faster than the ice in the empty champagne buckets. Dante pours me another glass of Pinot Noir and points at the screen. Look at table 5, he says. That is the table where Jasmine seated her so-called bridesmaids, the ones she replaced you with because they had the right look. I zoom in. It is a pathetic sight. The bridesmaids girls I have known since high school are huddled together. They are not comforting the bride. They are not trying to fix the situation. They are aggressively scrolling through their phones, probably looking for an Uber. One of them, a girl named Chloe, who Jasmine always called her ride or die, is actually taking the centerpiece flowers out of the vase and stuffing them into her tote bag. She knows the wedding is over, so she is looting the supplies. The VIP guests the bankers and investors Connor claimed were his close personal friends are the first to break rank. These are men who value their time at thousands of dollars an hour. They do not stand around in sweaty venues waiting for food that does not exist. I watch as a group of 3 men in expensive suits stand up in unison. They do not even look at Jasmine. They just walk toward the exit, checking their watches. Jasmine sees them leaving, and panic sets in. She abandons her post at the locked kitchen doors and runs after them. Her dress is dragging on the floor, collecting dust bunnies, but she doesn't care. "Wait!" she screams, her voice cracking. "Where are you going? Mr. Thompson, please wait." The issue is almost resolved. My father-in-law is sending a wire transfer right now. We have premium cigars coming later. Mr. Thompson stops and turns around. The look on his face is not one of pity. It is pure disdain. The camera angle is perfect, capturing the sneer on his lip. "Mrs. Wentworth, or whatever your name is," he says loud enough for half the room to hear. "I just called the bank. I know Connor's father. I have golfed with him for 20 years. And I just found out that he has not spoken to your husband since Connor stole a vintage Porsche and crashed it 3 years ago. There is no wire transfer coming. There is no money. And quite frankly, this entire afternoon has been a waste of my afternoon." He turns and walks out. The slam of the heavy oak door echoes through the silent room like a gunshot. Jasmine stands there frozen. The lie she has been living, the lie she built her entire identity around, has just been exposed by the very people she tried to impress. She looks around the room, begging someone, anyone, to contradict him, but nobody speaks. The silence is heavy and suffocating. Then things get worse. Over near the side entrance behind a large decorative fern, Connor is pacing back and forth. He thinks he is hidden. He thinks the noise of the crowd covers his voice. But the room is dead silent, and he is shouting into his cell phone. A guest named Brad, one of Connor's fraternity brothers from college, is standing just a few feet away. Brad is live streaming too, holding his phone high to catch the drama. "I need the money now," Connor is yelling into his phone. "I do not care about the interest rate. Put it at 50%. I do not care. Just bring the cash. I will sign over the title to my car. Yes, I know I already signed it over to Vinny, but I will figure it out. Just get here. If I do not pay these people, I am going to jail." Brad lowers his phone, his eyes wide. He turns to the table nearest him. "Did you hear that?" Brad asks loudly. He is not calling the bank. He is calling a loan shark. He is trying to pawn a car he does not even own. The murmur in the room turns into a roar. The guests are outraged. It is one thing to be broke. It is another thing to invite 200 people to witness a fraud. "That is it, I am out of here!" a woman shouts. She grabs her gift from the table, a toaster oven wrapped in silver paper, and marches toward the door. This triggers a stampede. People are standing up, grabbing their gifts, and heading for the exits. It is a mass evacuation. And then my mother decides to intervene. Patricia Patton has always believed that if you say something with enough confidence, it becomes true. She climbs onto a chair, her face purple with exertion and heat stroke. She waves her arms frantically, trying to stop the tide of departing guests. "Stop," she screams. "Everyone stop right now. You are making a mistake. You simply must wait." The room quiets down, mostly out of confusion. My mother takes a deep breath and delivers a lie so absurd, so completely detached from reality, that I actually choke on my wine. "The money is not coming by wire," she announces, her eyes wild and desperate. "That is why it is taking so long. Connor's father, he is sending a helicopter." "Yes, a helicopter. It is carrying $50,000 in cash. It is landing on the lawn in 10 minutes. Please everyone, just sit down. You do not want to miss the helicopter arrival. It is part of the surprise." I burst out laughing. I laugh so hard that Henri, my chef, looks over with concern. "A helicopter," I gasp, wiping tears from my eyes. She really said a helicopter. Dante is shaking his head in disbelief. "Does she know we are in a no-fly zone?" he asks. "Does she know that venue is surrounded by protected wetlands where aircraft cannot land? And does she realize that billionaires do not fly cash around in helicopters like they are in an action movie? They use apps." On the screen, the guests are looking at my mother like she has lost her mind. The lie is too big. It is too desperate. It is the final nail in the coffin of her credibility. A woman in the back. Someone I recognize as a deacon from our old church shakes her head sadly. "Patricia." The woman says softly, "Stop it. Just stop lying. There is no helicopter. There is no money. Look at your daughter. Look at what you have done." My mother freezes on the chair. For the first time in her life, her words have no power. The spell is broken. She looks at the door, hoping against hope that the sound of rotors will cut through the air. But there is only the sound of crickets and the distant sirens of the police cars that are getting closer. Jasmine is sobbing on the floor now, her dress ruined, her makeup gone. Connor is still arguing with the loan shark behind the fern, and my mother is standing on a chair alone, watching her social status walk out the door carrying their toaster ovens. It is pathetic. It is tragic. And yet, I cannot look away. Because for 30 years these people made me feel like I wasn't enough. They made me feel like my dark skin was a stain on their perfect picture. They chased this illusion of grandeur, stepping over me to get to it. And now I am watching them realize that the higher you climb on a ladder of lies, the harder you fall when it breaks. I pick up my phone. I have one more call to make. The venue manager, Marcus, is standing by the door watching the guests leave. He looks relieved, but he doesn't know that the show is about to have a grand finale. "Dante," I say, setting my glass down, "is the deed transfer complete?" Dante checks his tablet. "Filed and recorded 2 minutes ago," he confirms. "You are officially the owner of the Oakwood estate." "Good," I say, because I think it is time the landlord introduced herself. I tap the screen to call Marcus again. On the live stream, I see him reach for his pocket. He looks tired. He thinks it is over. He thinks he just has to clean up the mess and go home. He has no idea that the new owner is about to make an entrance that will make my mother's helicopter lie look like a bedtime story. "Answer the phone, Marcus," I whisper. It is time to clear the trash. The guests are still looking at the sky, waiting for a helicopter that does not exist, when the massive projection screen behind the head table flickers to life. It emits a high-pitched screech of static that makes everyone cover their ears. My mother, standing on her chair like a captain going down with the ship, looks around wildly. She probably thinks this is part of the surprise, a video message from the bank confirming the transfer. But the face that appears on the 20-foot screen is not a banker, and it is certainly not a friend. I sit up straighter on my lounge chair. Dante lowers his sunglasses. We both recognize the woman on the screen immediately. It is Eleanor Wentworth, the real matriarch of the Wentworth dynasty. If my mother is a caricature of new money desperation, Eleanor Wentworth is the terrifying reality of old money power. She is sitting in what looks like a library surrounded by mahogany bookshelves that probably cost more than Jasmine's entire wedding budget. She is wearing a simple strand of pearls and a navy blue blazer. Her hair is silver, immaculate, and stiff. She is not sweating. She is not screaming. She is staring into the camera lens with eyes that look like chips of flint. Beside her sits a man in a pinstripe suit holding a leather folder. The room in Atlanta goes deathly silent. The kind of silence where you can hear a heart break. Connor, who had been arguing with the loan shark in the corner, freezes. He looks at the screen and his knees actually buckle. He has to grab the edge of the fern pot to keep from collapsing. "Mother," he whispers. The microphone on the podium picks it up. It sounds like a plea from a man on death row. Eleanor does not smile. She does not say hello. She does not congratulate the happy couple. She leans forward slightly, and her voice, amplified by the speakers, is crisp, cold, and utterly devoid of warmth. "Connor," she says, "I received a notification from our family attorney regarding an attempted wire transfer of $50,000 using the Wentworth Family Trust Authorization Code." Jasmine, seeing an opening, rushes forward. She pushes her way through the confused crowd, her ruined dress trailing behind her. She thinks this is it. She thinks the cavalry has arrived. She looks at the screen with tears in her eyes, putting on her best daughter-in-law performance. "Oh, Mother Wentworth." Jasmine sobs, reaching out as if she can hug the projection screen. "Thank goodness you are here. It has been a nightmare. These people are treating us like criminals. Please tell them who we are. Tell them to turn the lights back on." Connor was just explaining that it is a banking error. Eleanor shifts her gaze. On the screen, it looks like she is looking down from a great height at a particularly annoying insect. "Who is this woman?" Eleanor asks. She does not ask it with curiosity, she asks it with disgust. Jasmine blinks, confused. The makeup running down her face makes her look like a tragic clown. "It is me, Jasmine, your daughter-in-law. We met at the engagement party. Well, we FaceTimed, remember? Connor said you were too busy with the gala to come today, but I knew you would not miss this." Eleanor turns to the man beside her. "Mr. Sterling, please proceed." The lawyer opens the leather folder. He does not look up. He reads from a document with the monotone delivery of an executioner. "For the record, the Wentworth family has no affiliation with this event. The authorization code used by Mr. Connor Wentworth was revoked 5 years ago. Any attempt to use the family name to secure credit, goods, or services is a violation of the restraining order filed in the Superior Court of Massachusetts." Restraining order. The words hang in the hot, humid air of the conservatory. My mother climbs down from her chair. She looks like she has been slapped. "Restraining order," she repeats. "What do you mean?" "Connor is your son. He is the heir to the Wentworth fortune. He manages the foundation." Eleanor laughs. It is a dry, short sound. "Connor has not managed anything but his own addiction since he was 22 years old," Eleanor says. Her voice is calm, which makes it even more terrifying. "We cut him off the day he stole his grandmother's silver to pay a gambling debt in Las Vegas. He is not an heir. He is a liability." Jasmine shakes her head frantically. She grabs Connor's arm, digging her nails into his rental suit. "Tell them, Connor. Tell them they are lying. You told me you run the East Coast Division. You told me the trust fund unlocks when you turn 30. You showed me the bank statements." Connor looks at the floor. He cannot speak. He is shaking so hard that the fern next to him is vibrating. Eleanor answers for him. "Those bank statements were forged, young lady, just like the check he tried to write to the catering company today. Connor has no access to Wentworth Capital. He has no trust fund. He has an allowance of $2,000 a month provided he stays in a rehabilitation program. A program he clearly left to play dress-up with you people. You people. There it is again. But coming from Eleanor Wentworth, it carries the weight of centuries of exclusion. She looks at Jasmine, then at my mother, and finally at the guests who are still clutching their toaster ovens. I do not know what lies my son told you to get you into that white dress, Eleanor says to Jasmine. But let me be clear. You have not married into a dynasty. You have married a pauper with a gambling problem and a criminal record for fraud. Do not expect a penny from us. Do not call us. And if you attempt to use our surname to solicit money again, Mr. Sterling will have you both arrested for identity theft by dinner time. But the helicopter, my mother stammers. The cash. Eleanor looks at my mother with genuine pity. Madam, if I were going to send a helicopter, it would be to evacuate my son to a mental health facility, not to pay for a party I did not approve of. Connor finally speaks. His voice is a broken croak. Mom, please. These people, they are going to hurt me. I owe money to the wrong people. Then you should have thought about that before you pretended to be a big shot, Eleanor says. Good luck, Connor. You are on your own. The screen goes black. The silence that follows is absolute. It is heavier than the heat. It is heavier than the humidity. It is the crushing weight of truth. I watch from the deck of my yacht mesmerized. The breakdown is complete. The foundation of lies my family built this entire event on has just been demolished by a 60-year-old woman in a library 4 states away. Jasmine lets go of Connor's arm like he is on fire. She steps back, looking at him with horror. Not because she loves him and is heartbroken by his betrayal, but because she realizes the investment she made is worthless. She looks at the fake ring on her finger. She looks at the rental suit. She looks at the man she thought was her ticket to a life of leisure. You are broke, Jasmine whispers. The camera picks it up perfectly. You are actually broke. Connor looks up, sweat dripping from his nose. Babe, I can explain. I have a system. I just need a little capital to get back on top. My mother lets out a scream that sounds like a wounded animal. She rushes forward not to hug her daughter, but to attack Connor. She starts hitting him with her purse, a fake Louis Vuitton that suddenly seems very symbolic. You liar, you thief, you ate my food, you drank my wine, you promised me a retirement villa in the south of France. The scene descends into chaos. Guests are recording openly now. The pretense of politeness is gone. This is a street fight in a wedding dress. Dante sighs and closes his book. That was brutal, he says. The mother didn't even care about him. She just cared about the brand damage. That is how the rich stay rich, I reply, taking a sip of water. They cut off the dead weight. My family never understood that. They thought looking rich was the same as being rich. They thought proximity to power would give them power. I look at Jasmine, who is now sitting on the floor weeping into her hands while our mother beats the groom with a handbag. They wanted a show, I say. They definitely got one. But the show isn't over yet, because while Eleanor Wentworth just destroyed their past and their present, I am about to destroy their future. I pick up my phone again. The police are already inside the building, drawn by the noise of the fight. It is time for the final act. I look at the time. It is almost sunset. The perfect lighting for an eviction. Ready for the grand finale, I ask Dante. He smiles. Always. I tap the screen, preparing to make my introduction. Eleanor took away their money. I'm about to take away their shelter. And unlike Eleanor, I am not going to be brief. I have 30 years of silence to make up for. The silence in the conservatory is not peaceful. It is the heavy, suffocating silence of a bomb crater right after the explosion. The projection screen has gone black, severing the connection to the icy library of Eleanor Wentworth, but her words are still echoing off the glass walls. Connor is a fraud. The money does not exist. The dynasty is a delusion. I watch my mother, Patricia Patton, on the high-definition screen of my iPad. For 30 years, I have watched this woman manipulate scheme and posture. I have watched her curate her life like a museum exhibit where everything is polished and nothing is real. But I have never seen her look like this. She does not faint gracefully like a heroine in the romance novels she loves to read. She crumbles. It is an ugly mechanical collapse. Her knees simply give up on the job of holding her upright. She sinks to the dirty floor, her expensive silk mother of the bride dress puddling around her in a heap of defeated lavender fabric. She looks small. For the first time in my life, the woman who cast a shadow over my entire existence looks incredibly small. Around her, the guests are whispering. The sound is like dry leaves skittering on pavement. They are not whispering with sympathy. They are whispering with the vicious delight of people who finally see the emperor has no clothes. I see Mrs. Gable, the neighbor who always looked down on me for driving a used Honda, pull out her phone. She is taking a picture of my mother on the floor. The vultures are circling. But Patricia Patton is not done. Shock is quickly replaced by the only emotion she knows how to process: rage. She scrambles to her feet. Her hair, usually sprayed into an immovable helmet of perfection, is disheveled. Her eyes are wild. She looks around the room, seeing the judgment, seeing the ruin of her reputation, and she needs a target. She locks eyes on Connor. The groom is trying to blend into the foliage. He is inching towards the side exit, probably hoping to sprint across the wetlands before the police notice him. But my mother is faster. She lunges at him with a speed that defies her age and her heels. "You liar!" she screams. The sound distorts the microphone on the nearby podium. "You dirty, filthy little liar!" She grabs the lapels of his rental suit and shakes him. Connor, who is a foot taller than her, lets her do it. He is a rag doll in the hands of a woman who has just realized she bet her entire life on a losing horse. "I treated you like a son," she spits in his face. "I put you at the head of my table. I let you disrespect my own daughter, Serena, because I thought you were royalty. I let you treat us like we were lucky to breathe the same air as you." Connor tries to push her away, his hands trembling. "Patricia, please," he stammers. "It is a misunderstanding. My mother is just angry. I can fix this. I just need time." "Time," she shrieks. "You need time. I gave you everything." Everything. And then the confession starts pouring out of her. It is a torrent of financial secrets that she has kept hidden for months. Secrets that explain why she was so desperate for that $50,000 earlier. "I liquidated your father's 401k for you," she yells, shoving him against the fake plaster pillar. "I forged Elijah's signature to cash out his pension because you said you needed liquidity for the merger. You said you would triple it in a month." My father, who has been sitting quietly in the back this whole time, stands up. His face goes gray. He walks slowly toward the commotion, his hands shaking. He worked for 40 years at the post office for that pension. He sorted mail in rain and snow to build that safety net. And now he is hearing that his wife stole it to give to a man who just got disowned via projector screen. But my mother is not finished. She is hysterical now. She is listing her sacrifices like items on a receipt. "I took a second mortgage on the house," she cries. "I maxed out the credit cards. I borrowed money from the church fund. I watched from the deck of the yacht, shaking my head. It is worse than I thought. They are not just broke. They are destitute. She has burned everything to the ground to build a throne for Jasmine, and the throne is made of cardboard." But then she says something that makes my blood run cold. The world around me stops. The sound of the ocean fades. The warmth of the sun vanishes. "I sold the jewelry," she screams, clawing at Connor's chest. "I went into the safety deposit box and I sold it all. The diamond tennis bracelet, the sapphire pendant, and the emeralds. I sold Mother's emeralds to that pawn shop on Decatur Street because you said you needed seed money for the crypto investment." I freeze. The glass of wine in my hand snaps. The stem breaks between my fingers, sending red wine spilling over my white linen trousers like a fresh wound. Dante looks over, alarmed. "Serena," he says, "you are bleeding." I don't feel the cut on my hand. I only hear the words echoing in my head. Mother's emeralds. My grandmother. Big Mama was the only person in that family who saw me. She was the only one who didn't care about my skin tone or my lack of social climbing ambition. When she passed away, her will was mysterious. The jewelry was supposed to be divided, but my mother always told me that the emerald set, the vintage Art Deco necklace and earrings that Big Mama wore on her wedding day, had been lost. She told me they were stolen during a break-in years ago. I grieved those emeralds. Not because they were valuable, though they were worth a fortune. I grieved them because Big Mama promised them to me. She used to let me try them on when I was a little girl. She would hold me in front of the mirror and say, "Serena, green is your color. These stones are strong and deep just like you. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise." And now, 4,000 miles away, watching a live stream of a disaster, I learned the truth. They were never stolen. My mother stole them. She took the one thing Big Mama left for me, the one tangible piece of love I had from my childhood, and she pawned it. She sold my heritage to fund a con artist's gambling addiction. I look at the screen. My mother is still screaming, unaware that she just confessed to a felony. She is weeping about the money, about the lost value. She doesn't care about the history. She doesn't care about the sentiment. To her, those emeralds were just rocks she could trade for prestige. I stand up. My legs feel stiff. I walk to the railing of the yacht and look down at the dark water. The rage I feel is not the hot, explosive anger of my mother. It is cold. It is a deep, freezing calm. It is the kind of anger that doesn't scream. It plans. Dante is by my side in an instant, wrapping a napkin around my bleeding hand. "Is that the set you told me about?" he asks quietly. "The one your grandmother promised you?" "Yes," I whisper. "She gave it to a pawn shop. She gave Big Mama's legacy to a guy named Connor, who probably spent it on blackjack and bottle service." I turn back to the iPad. My father has reached my mother now. He pulls her away from Connor, not to comfort her, but to stop her from committing assault in front of the police officers who are finally making their way through the crowd. "Elijah, let me go." My mother screams. "He owes me. He owes us everything." My father looks at her. For the first time, I see the veil lift from his eyes too. He sees the monster he married. "You spent my pension," Elijah asks, his voice low but audible. "You stole from our future to impress these people." "I did it for Jasmine," she sobs, pointing at my sister who is still curled up on the floor. "I did it so she could have a better life." "You did it for yourself, Patricia," my father says. And he lets go of her arm. He steps back, leaving her standing alone in the circle of judgment. I pick up my secure phone. My hand is throbbing where the glass cut me, but the pain helps me focus. It reminds me that this is real. This is not a game anymore. "Dante," I say. "Call the private investigator we use for asset recovery in Atlanta." Now he asks. "Right now?" "I want the name of that pawn shop on Decatur Street. I want the transaction records. If those emeralds are still there, I want them bought back immediately. I do not care what it costs." "And if they are gone?" Dante asks gently. "If they are gone," I say, staring at the image of my mother wiping snot from her face with a silk glove, "then she is going to wish she had gone to prison for assault. Because I will sue her for every penny she has ever made, every asset she has ever hidden, and every breath of peace she has left. She stole my past. I am going to foreclose on her future." The police officer on the screen steps forward. He puts a hand on Connor's shoulder. Then he turns to my mother. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down," the officer says. "We have reports of fraud, theft of services, and now assault. Everyone stays put. We are going to sort this out downtown." Downtown. The county jail. I watch my mother's face as the reality sets in. She is not going to the south of France. She is going to a holding cell, and the saddest part is even in a jail cell, she will probably still be blaming me. I sit back down. The wine stain on my pants is drying, turning a dark, rusty color. "Let them take her," I say to the empty air. And Dante add a clause to the eviction notice. "Which clause?" he asks. "Total liquidation," I say. "Nothing leaves that house until I get my emeralds back. Not a stick of furniture, not a single dress. If she wants to play with family heirlooms, let us see how she likes it when the heir comes to collect." The sun over the Caribbean is beginning its slow descent into the water, painting the sky in strokes of bruised purple and burning gold. It is the kind of golden hour that photographers kill for the kind of light that makes everything look expensive and soft. But 4,000 miles away in Atlanta, the light is harsh and unforgiving. The emergency floodlights have kicked on inside the venue, casting long, distorted shadows against the glass walls. My iPad screen flickers with the image of a party that has fully devolved into a crime scene. My phone vibrates against the teak table. It is a low, persistent hum. It is not the angry, demanding buzz of an hour ago. This vibration feels different. It feels heavy. It feels like a heartbeat that is struggling to stay steady. I look at the caller ID. Mother. For 30 years, seeing that name on my screen triggered a physical response. My stomach would clench, my palms would sweat. I would brace myself for criticism, for a demand, or for a reminder of how I had failed to meet her impossible standards. But today, as I reach out and slide my finger across the glass to answer, my pulse does not quicken. My hand is steady. The only thing I feel is a cold, detached curiosity. I put the phone on speaker again, but this time I do not say hello. I just listen. Serena. The voice that comes through the speaker is unrecognizable. The sharp edges are gone. The arrogance has evaporated. It is a wet, broken sound, thick with mucus and tears. It is the sound of a woman who has fallen off a cliff and is realizing halfway down that there is no net at the bottom. Serena. Please. You are there, aren't you? I know you are listening. Baby, please say something. Baby. She called me baby. She hasn't called me that since I was 4 years old, before my skin darkened enough for her to realize I wouldn't be the light-skinned trophy she wanted. I take a sip of water, letting the silence stretch out. I want her to feel it. I want her to hear the vastness of the distance between us. Mom, I say finally. My voice is soft, almost gentle. But it is the gentleness of a doctor pronouncing a time of death. Oh, thank God, she sobs. The sound is ragged. Thank God you answered. Serena, you have to help us. It is a nightmare here. The police, they are putting handcuffs on Connor. They are saying words I do not understand. Fraud, embezzlement, grand larceny. I watch the screen. She is right. 2 officers are currently guiding Connor toward the exit. His head is hung low. He looks small. Serena, listen to me. She continues, her voice rising in pitch. They are going to take him away. And the venue manager, that horrible man, he says he is going to sue us for the damages. He says he is going to put a lien on the house. Our house, Serena. The house you grew up in. I close my eyes for a second. The house I grew up in. The house where I was a ghost in the hallways. The house where family portraits were hung in the living room featuring Mom, Dad, and Jasmine, while my school picture was tucked away in a drawer because it didn't fit the color scheme. We will be on the street, she wails. Your father and I. We have nothing left. I told you I sold everything. The pension is gone, the savings are gone. If they take the house, where will we go? She takes a ragged breath, and then she plays the card I knew she was holding. You have money, Serena. I know you do. You rented that yacht. You have that fancy job you never talk about. And Dante. Dante is a lawyer, isn't he? He is a powerful man. Put him on the phone. Tell him to call the district attorney. Tell him to threaten them. He can fix this. He is family. You are family. You cannot let your sister's wedding day end like this. You cannot let your mother be homeless. I look across the table at Dante. He is watching me, his eyes dark and unreadable behind his sunglasses. He knows exactly what she is asking. He knows he could make a call. He knows he could probably delay the arrest, or at least get them out on bail. He is waiting for my signal. But I am not looking at Dante. I am looking at the past. My mother's sobbing voice fades into the background, replaced by a memory so vivid I can smell the rain on the pavement. I was 22 years old. I had just graduated from college, a semester early with honors. I had come home proud, holding my diploma. But when I walked in, my boxes were already packed and sitting by the front door. I remember the confusion. I remember asking why. And I remember my mother standing in the foyer holding a glass of white wine looking at me with that same cold indifference I saw in Eleanor Wentworth today. Jasmine needs the room, she had said. She is starting her modeling career. She needs a walk-in closet for her portfolio clothes. You are an adult now, Serena. It is time you figure it out on your own. But Mom, I had cried. It is raining. I don't have a job yet. I have nowhere to go. I have $40 in my pocket. Please, just give me a month. Just let me sleep on the couch. She had taken a sip of wine and checked her watch. You are disrupting the evening, she had said. We have guests coming over. You need to leave. Figure it out. Hardship builds character. She had closed the door in my face. I remember standing on the porch, the rain soaking through my graduation gown, listening to the sound of the deadbolt sliding home. That sound, the metal click of a lock turning, has haunted me for 10 years. It was the sound of my mother choosing a closet over her daughter. Now 10 years later, the tables have turned. The rain is gone. The poverty is gone. I am sitting on a $70 million vessel, and the woman who locked me out is begging to be let in. Serena, are you there? She screams, breaking my reverie. Why aren't you saying anything? Did you hear me? I said we are going to lose everything. I hear you, Mom, I say. Then help us. Wire the money. Tell Dante to call the police. Do something. You owe us. We raised you. I lean forward, resting my elbows on the table. The sun has just touched the waterline, turning the ocean into a sheet of liquid fire. Mom, I say, my voice steady and calm. Do you remember the night you kicked me out? Do you remember what you told me when I asked where I was supposed to sleep? There is silence on the other end. Heavy, suffocating silence. She remembers. I know she remembers. You told me to figure it out, I remind her. You told me that hardship builds character. Well, Mom, I think you are about to build a lot of character. Serena, no, she whispers. I am not going to call Dante, I say, and I am certainly not going to wire you money. In fact, the money I do have, I am using it to buy back the emeralds you stole from me. So technically I am paying you. I am paying for the jewelry you pawned. She starts to scream again, a desperate animalistic sound. You can't do this. I am your mother. And I am busy, Mom, I say, watching the final sliver of the sun disappear. Busy doing what she shrieks, watching us die. No, I say softly. I am watching the sunset. It is beautiful here, Mom. The sky is completely purple. You should see it. It looks like peace. I press the red button on the screen. The call ends. Her screaming cuts off, instantly replaced by the gentle lap of waves against the hull of the yacht. I sit there for a moment, letting the silence wash over me. I thought I would feel guilty. I thought I would feel that old familiar pang of shame, the feeling that I was a bad daughter. But I check my chest, and there is nothing there but relief. Dante reaches across the table and takes my hand. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to. He knows that I just closed the door. I just slid the deadbolt home. And for the first time in my life, I am the one holding the key. On the screen, the police officer is now talking to my mother. She is gesturing wildly at the phone, probably telling him that her rich daughter is going to fix everything. The officer is shaking his head. He pulls a pair of handcuffs from his belt. It is time to wrap this up, Dante says softly. Not yet, I reply, picking up my glass. The sun has set, but the show isn't over. They are being evicted from the venue, but they still think they have a home to go back to. They still think they own that house on Peachtree Lane. I look at the email on my tablet. The foreclosure notice I bought from the bank 3 weeks ago is signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered. She wanted to know where she was going to go, I whisper to myself. She is about to find out that character building can be a very cold experience. I signal to Henri for another bottle. The night is young, and the darkness is just beginning to fall on the Patton family legacy. The flashing blue lights of the police cruisers are reflecting off the glass walls of the conservatory. It creates a strobe effect that makes the entire wedding look like a cheap disco from the 1970s. From my vantage point on the yacht, with the Caribbean breeze gently rustling the linen tablecloths, The chaos in Atlanta looks almost choreographed. The police officers do not storm in with guns drawn. They do not kick down the doors. They simply walk through the open entrance with the heavy, confident stride of men who know exactly who they are looking for and know that he has nowhere to run. My mother is still sobbing near the podium, but she goes silent as the officers approach. She probably thinks in her delusional state that Dante called them. She probably thinks this is the rescue team come to intimidate the venue manager into turning the lights back on. She straightens her dress, wipes her face, and prepares to play the role of the aggrieved matriarch. Officer, she begins stepping into their path. Thank goodness you are here. This man, the manager, is holding us hostage. He has turned off the electricity. He is endangering the health of my guests. The lead officer, a large man with a buzz cut and a face that has seen too many lies to be moved by tears, gently moves her aside. He does not even look at the venue manager. He walks straight past my mother, past the ruined cake, and walks directly up to Connor. Connor is standing by the fern, shaking. He looks like he is vibrating. When the officer stops in front of him, Connor tries to smile. It is a ghastly expression, a baring of teeth that looks more like a grimace of pain. Mr. Connor Wentworth, the officer asks. Though we all know he is not asking. He is confirming a target. Connor clears his throat. His voice is an octave higher than usual. There has been a mistake, officer. My cards got flagged for fraud because of a travel notification. I am actually on the phone with my banker right now. The officer sighs. He reaches for his belt. Put the phone down, sir. We are not here about a declined transaction today. Well, not exactly. You see, when you attempted to swipe that American Express card 5 times in the last hour, you triggered a silent alert in the national banking system. It pinged your location to a very old, very active warrant out of Savannah. A warrant, Connor squeaks. Outstanding bench warrant for felony check fraud, the officer recites from memory. Passing bad checks, identity theft, and dodging a court appearance 3 years ago. You have been a hard man to find, Connor. Moving around, changing addresses, pretending to be a Wentworth. But greed always trips you up. If you had just admitted you were broke, you might have slipped away. But you just had to keep swiping that card. The officer pulls out a pair of handcuffs. The metal glints under the emergency floodlights. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. The reality of the situation hits the room like a physical blow. This is not a misunderstanding. This is not a civil dispute about a bill. This is a felony arrest in the middle of a wedding reception. And that is when the love story ends. I have seen marriages fall apart before. As an investor in distressed assets, I often buy houses from divorcing couples. I know the look of resentment, but I have never seen a relationship disintegrate as quickly as this one. The moment the cold steel of the handcuffs touches Connor's wrists, he stops being the loving groom. He becomes a cornered rat. He spins around not to run but to point a finger at Jasmine. She knew Connor's screams. His face is red, his eyes bulging. Officer, she is my accomplice. You have to arrest her too. The room gasps. Even I, sitting safely on my yacht, feel the shock of the betrayal. Jasmine freezes. She is standing 10 feet away, holding her bouquet like a weapon. What did you say? She whispers. She knew I was broke. Connor yells, twisting his body so he can look at the officer. She knew I didn't have the money for this wedding. I told her last month. I told her we should go to the courthouse. I told her I was drowning in debt. But she wouldn't listen. She threatened me. He is improvising now, desperate to spread the blame, desperate to drag anyone down with him, to soften the fall. She said she would leave me if I didn't give her this wedding. Connor continues, spitting the words out. She said she needed the photos for her Instagram. She said she didn't care how I got the money, just get it. She is the one who told me to use the Wentworth name. She said nobody checks credentials anymore. She is the mastermind, officer. I was just doing what my wife wanted. It is a lie. I know it is a lie. Jasmine is shallow, yes. She is vain, absolutely. But she is not a criminal mastermind. She is too self-absorbed to plan a heist. She truly believed the fantasy because she wanted it to be true. But seeing her husband, the man she vowed to love 5 hours ago, try to send her to prison to save his own skin, breaks something inside her. "You dirty liar," Jasmine shrieks. She throws the bouquet at him. It hits him in the chest, white roses scattering across the dirty floor. "I didn't know anything." She screams at the police, then at the guests, then at the camera. "He told me he was the vice president of regional lending. He took me to the office. He had a badge. He broke in," the officer says calmly, tightening the cuffs. "We have the report on that too. He was working as a janitor in that building, ma'am. He stole a badge to show you around on the weekend. A janitor." The word hangs in the air. Jasmine looks like she's going to be sick. The trips to the office, the late nights working, the prestige she bragged about to her friends. He was emptying the trash cans in the boardroom, not running the meetings. "You let me marry a janitor," she wails. It is such a Jasmine thing to say. She is not upset about the fraud. She is not upset about the theft. She is upset about the job title. She is upset about the social status. "I was doing it for you," Connor yells back as the officers begin to drag him toward the door. "You wanted the lifestyle. You wanted the ring. You didn't care where it came from as long as it shined. You are just as guilty as I am. You are a gold digger who dug in the wrong backyard." That line hits home. I see my mother wince. I see the guests look away. Because it is true. Connor is a con artist, but Jasmine was a willing participant in the illusion. She ignored the red flags because they didn't fit her color scheme. "Officer, wait!" Jasmine cries, running after them. "You can't take him. He has the keys to the car. My purse is in the car." The car, the officer laughs, stopping for a moment. "You mean the leased BMW that was reported stolen 2 days ago? That is being towed as we speak." Jasmine stops running. She stands in the middle of the empty dance floor, surrounded by the wreckage of her dreams. Her husband is in cuffs. Her car is being towed. Her mother is disgraced. And she is alone. I watch her face on the screen. For a second, just a split second, she looks directly into the camera lens. She looks terrified. She looks like a little girl who got lost in a department store. And for that split second, I almost feel pity. Almost. But then I remember the text she sent me this morning. The text that said, "Stay away, you will ruin the pictures." I remember the way she laughed when Mom kicked me out of the house. I remember the years of snide comments about my hair, my job, my life. Dante leans over and whispers, "He just implicated her in a felony conspiracy. Even if it is a lie, the police will have to question her. They will have to investigate her finances." I know, I say, taking a slow sip of my wine. "And when they look into her finances, they are going to find a lot of unpaid bills and a lot of empty promises." The police drag Connor out the door. He is still screaming that Jasmine made him do it. The sound of his voice fades, leaving only the sound of the venue manager clearing his throat. "I need everyone out," the manager says. "The police have cleared the building. This is a crime scene now." Jasmine looks around. Her friends are gone. Her husband is gone. Her car is gone. She looks at our mother, who is sitting on a chair, staring blankly at the wall. "Mom," Jasmine whispers. "What do we do?" My mother doesn't answer. She is broken. I reach for the iPad. It is time, I say to Dante. Time for what he asks. Time to introduce the landlord, I say. They think hitting rock bottom is when your husband gets arrested. They are about to find out that rock bottom has a basement. And I own the basement too. I tap the FaceTime icon on the screen. The connection rings. On the giant projection screen in the wedding hall, the black void is about to be replaced by my face, backlit by the glorious Caribbean sunset. Let's see if they recognize the new owner, I say. And let's see if Jasmine still thinks I am too dark to be part of the wedding. Because right now, I am the only one with a light. The red taillights of the police cruisers fade into the distance, taking the groom and the last shreds of dignity the Patton family had left. The silence that settles over the conservatory is heavy and thick like a wool blanket soaked in water. My sister Jasmine is kneeling on the floor amidst the ruin of her wedding cake. The white frosting is smeared across the expensive hardwood like a crime scene chalk outline. She is not crying anymore. She has passed the point of tears and entered a state of catatonic shock. My mother is sitting on a folding chair staring at her hands as if she has never seen them before. The venue manager, Mr. Henderson, checks his watch. He signals to his staff, who immediately begin stripping the tablecloths from the tables. The sound of glass clinking against metal trays is jarring in the quiet room. Mrs. Wentworth, Ms. Patton. Mr. Henderson says, his voice cutting through the air. You and your guests need to vacate the premises. The contract is void. The police have cleared the scene. You have exactly 30 minutes to remove your personal belongings before I lock the doors. Jasmine looks up. Her eyes are rimmed with red, and her mascara has tracked dark lines down her cheeks. She looks at Mr. Henderson with a sudden, desperate intensity. She scrambles to her feet, slipping slightly on a piece of smashed cake. No, you cannot kick us out. We have nowhere to go. My car is gone. My husband is gone. Mr. Henderson does not blink. That is not my problem, ma'am. You are trespassing. Please. Jasmine rushes forward, grabbing his arm. Her desperation makes her strong. I demand to speak to the owner. Not you. I know you are just the manager. I want to speak to the actual owner of this estate. Mr. Henderson raises an eyebrow. He looks at me on the little screen of his phone, which he is still holding, but Jasmine does not notice. The owner, Mr. Henderson repeats. Yes, the owner. Jasmine insists, breathless. I know how these things work. Rich people understand each other. If I can just explain to the owner that we are victims of fraud, they will understand. They will let us stay. I will do anything. I will work it off. I will promote this venue on my social media for free for a year. Just get the owner on the phone. Please. I watch this pathetic display from the comfort of my sun lounger. It is almost Shakespearean. The girl who spent her whole life looking down on service workers is now begging to speak to the manager's boss, thinking she can charm her way out of eviction. She assumes the owner is some benevolent billionaire who will take pity on a pretty girl in a white dress. Mr. Henderson looks at the camera lens of his phone and gives a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. As you wish, Mr. Henderson says calmly. The owner has actually been monitoring the situation very closely. In fact, the owner requested to speak with you directly regarding the damages. Jasmine exhales a shuddering breath of relief. She smooths her hair back and tries to wipe the cake frosting from her skirt. She thinks she has won. She thinks she has bypassed the help and reached the decision-maker. Thank you, she says, her voice trembling with false gratitude. Thank you so much. Put them on speaker. Mr. Henderson shakes his head. Oh no. The owner deserves better than a speakerphone. We will use the main screen. He gestures to the tech booth. A technician who looks like he wants to be anywhere else on Earth taps a few keys on a laptop. The massive projection screen behind the head table, the same screen that just delivered the devastating message from Eleanor Wentworth, flickers to life once more. At first there is just static. Then the connection stabilizes. The image that fills the 20-foot screen is high definition and crystal clear. It shows a backdrop of endless turquoise water and a sky painted with the vibrant oranges and purples of a Caribbean sunset. In the foreground, sitting on a plush white sofa with a glass of red wine in hand, is a woman wearing a white linen suit that costs more than Jasmine's entire wedding budget. The woman is calm. The woman is smiling. The woman is me. The air leaves the room. It happens all at once. I see my mother's head snap up so fast, I am surprised she does not get whiplash. I see Jasmine's jaw drop unhinged. I see my father stand up slowly, his hand covering his mouth. For 10 seconds, nobody breathes. They are staring at the screen, trying to process the cognitive dissonance. They are seeing Serena the scapegoat, Serena the data entry clerk, Serena the failure. but they are seeing her framed by wealth so immense it looks like a movie set. I take a slow, deliberate sip of my wine. I let them look. I let them take in the details. The teak deck, the gold-rimmed sunglasses on the table, the diamond studs in my ears. "Hello, Jasmine," I say, my voice amplified by the concert-grade speakers. Jasmine takes a step back, as if the sound of my voice physically pushed her. "Serena," she whispers, "what are you doing? Why are you on the screen? Did you hack the system?" I laugh. It is a light, airy sound that echoes off the glass walls. Hack the system. Oh, Jasmine, you always did have a wild imagination. No, I did not hack anything. You asked to speak to the owner. You begged Mr. Henderson to let you plead your case to the person who holds the deed to this property. I reach down beside me and pick up a blue leather folder. I open it slowly, letting the crisp sound of the paper be heard over the microphone. This is a deed of trust. I read from the document, dated 3 weeks ago. It transfers the title of the Oakwood estate and all its auxiliary structures from the foreclosure holdings of First National Bank to SP Holdings Limited. I look up from the paper and lock eyes with my sister through the camera lens. SP Holdings. SP stands for Serena Patton. My mother lets out a strangled noise. It sounds like an animal dying. "You." My mother gasps. "You bought this place. I bought the debt, Mom." I explain patiently as if I am talking to a child. You see, when you work in distressed asset management, you learn things. I learned that the previous owner of this venue went bankrupt 6 months ago. The bank was auctioning it off quietly. Nobody wanted it because it needed too many repairs, but I saw potential. Just like I saw potential in the stock market when you told me I was wasting my time reading financial news instead of fashion magazines. I close the folder with a snap. "So here we are," I continue. "You are standing in my building, you are eating cake on my floor, and you just asked my employee, Mr. Henderson, if you could work off your debt." Jasmine shakes her head violently. The denial is strong. It is a protective mechanism. If she accepts this truth, her entire worldview collapses. "No, you are lying. You are a secretary. You live in a one-bedroom apartment. You drive a Honda." "I drive a Honda when I visit you, Jasmine," I say, my voice hardening. "Because every time I pulled up in anything nice, you and Mom would make snide comments about how I must be spending money I do not have. Or worse, you would ask to borrow money. So I played the part. I let you believe I was small so you could feel big. But make no mistake, I have never been small." I stand up and walk to the railing of the yacht. The camera follows me. Behind me, the massive white hull of the Evrima stretches out. I am not calling from a green screen, Jasmine. I am calling from the deck of a yacht that costs $50,000 a week to charter, which ironically is the exact amount you owe me for this venue. Jasmine looks around the room. She looks at Mr. Henderson. "Is this true?" she demands, shrill and panicked. "Is she really the boss?" Mr. Henderson smiles, a genuine smile this time. "Ms. Jones is the sole proprietor," he confirms. "And she gave strict instructions regarding the code of conduct for this event, instructions which you have violated repeatedly." My mother stands up. She stumbles toward the screen. Her face is a mask of confusion and greed. The gears in her head are turning. She is realizing that the lifeline she needs is not a stranger, but her own daughter. "Serena, baby," she starts, her voice trembling. "You own this place." Oh my God. This is wonderful. This is a miracle. You can save us. You can tell the police to bring Connor back. You can tell them it was all a misunderstanding. We are family. This is your property. You can do whatever you want. I look at her. I look at the woman who sold my grandmother's emeralds. "You are right, Mom. I can do whatever I want. And do you know what I want?" I pause for effect. The tension in the room is electric. "I want my venue cleaned." My mother blinks. "What?" "I want the cake off the floor. I want the wine stains scrubbed. I want the trash picked up. And I want you and Jasmine to do it. Jasmine screams. I am the bride. I am not cleaning up. You are not the bride anymore, Jasmine. I correct her. You are a squatter, and usually I would just have the police remove you. But since we are family, I will give you a choice. You can leave now and I will sue you for the damages and the unpaid fees. I will garnish your wages for the next 10 years. Or you can pick up a mop. I signal to Mr. Henderson. Give them the supplies, Marcus. Mr. Henderson walks to a closet and pulls out 2 industrial mops and a bucket on wheels. He rolls them across the dance floor and parks them right in front of Jasmine. The choice is yours, I say, taking another sip of wine. But remember, the clock is ticking. You have 25 minutes left before the locks change automatically. And Jasmine, you might want to pin up that dress. It would be a shame to get bleach on a Vera Wang, even if it is unpaid for. I sit back down and watch. The silence is broken only by the sound of my father laughing. It is a dry, rasping laugh. He is sitting in the back, shaking his head, looking at the screen with something that looks like pride. Serena, my father says softly. You really did it. You really beat them all. I raise my glass to him. I learned from the best dad. I just played the long game. Jasmine looks at the mop. She looks at the screen. She looks at the door where the police just left with her fake husband. And then slowly, painfully, she reaches out and grabs the handle of the mop. Excellent, I whisper. Now clean my house. The air in the conservatory has shifted. It is no longer hot with panic. It is cold with calculation. I watch from the screen as the shock on my mother's face begins to morph into something else. Something that looks suspiciously like relief. For 30 years, Patricia Patton has been a master of rewriting history to suit her needs. I can practically see the gears turning behind her eyes. She is looking at the deed in my hand, and then at me, and then at the luxury yacht in the background. She is doing the math. In her mind, the equation is simple. Her daughter is the owner. Therefore, she is the owner. The terror of eviction and lawsuits is vanishing, replaced by a sudden smug confidence. She straightens her shoulders. She smooths the front of her ruined lavender dress. She even manages a weak smile directed at the venue manager, Mr. Henderson. See, she says to him, her voice gaining strength. I told you this was all a misunderstanding. The owner is my daughter. Serena is my flesh and blood. She would never let anything bad happen to us. She turns toward the massive screen, arms open wide, as if she is about to embrace me through the digital connection. Serena, baby, thank goodness. You gave us such a scare. For a minute I thought you were actually angry. But this is wonderful news. You own the estate. That means we can stay. That means you can tell the police to bring Connor back, and we can sort out this silly misunderstanding about the checks. Jasmine catches on quickly. She wipes her face with the back of her hand, smearing mascara across her cheek, but looking hopeful. Yes, Serena, please. Just tell Mr. Henderson to turn the lights back on. We can salvage the party. We can tell the guests it was a prank. A surprise twist. You can be the hero. I sit back on the white leather sofa of the yacht and let out a long, slow breath. It is truly breathtaking. The audacity. After years of neglect, after days of humiliation, after screaming at me to send money, they still believe that my primary function in life is to serve them. They think my success is just a new resource for them to mine until it is empty. I lean forward toward the camera lens. I want them to see my eyes. I want them to see that the person looking back at them is not the girl who used to cry in her room because she wasn't invited to family dinners. Mom Jasmine listened to me very closely. The room goes quiet. They are smiling, expecting the rescue. I am not your hero. I am your landlord. And you seem to be confused about the nature of this relationship. You think SP Holdings is a family piggy bank. It is not. It is an investment firm. I pick up my wine glass, swirling the dark red liquid. I buy assets that have value. I buy properties that generate yield. I invest in things that have a future. And frankly, looking at the two of you and the criminal you just married, I do not see an investment, I see a liability. The smile drops from my mother's face. It slides off like oil on water. What are you saying, Serena? I am saying that I do not invest in failing projects, Mom. And this marriage, this wedding, this entire charade of a lifestyle you have built, it is a failing project. It is bankrupt, morally and financially. Jasmine steps forward. Her voice is shrill again. But we are family. You cannot treat us like this. You have so much money. Look at you. You are on a yacht. You could pay off the debt with what you spend on champagne. Why are you being so mean? I laugh. It is a dry, humorless sound. Mean. You think this is me being mean? Jasmine, 2 weeks ago you told me I was too dark to be in your wedding photos. You said I would throw off the color balance. You treated me like a stain on your perfect day. And now that your perfect day is covered in literal garbage, you want to claim me as family. I shake my head. No, that is not how this works. In the real world, access is earned, and you have spent a lifetime burning the bridge you are now trying to cross. Mr. Henderson steps into the frame. He looks at me for instruction. Ms. Jones, the 30 minutes are ticking down. Shall I have security escort them out? I look at the mess on the floor. The smashed cake is melting into the hardwood. There are puddles of red wine soaking into the expensive rugs. Broken glass glitters under the emergency lights. It is thousands of dollars in damage. If they leave now, Marcus, I will have to file a claim against them for destruction of property. And since we already established that they have no money, that means I will have to garnish their wages. I look at Jasmine. I will take 30% of every paycheck you earn for the next 10 years, Jasmine. I will put a lien on any future assets. I will make sure that every time you try to buy a car or rent an apartment, my name comes up on your credit report as the woman who owns you. Jasmine gasps. She looks terrified. For a girl who loves to spend, the idea of wage garnishment is a fate worse than death. Or, I say softly, offering the alternative. You can avoid the lawsuit. How? Jasmine asks, breathless. I will do anything. I point to the bucket and mop that Mr. Henderson brought out earlier. Clean it up. Jasmine stares at the bucket. It is a bright yellow industrial bucket with a gray ringer. It is the kind of object she has probably never touched in her life. You want me to clean, in my wedding dress. I want my property returned to the condition it was in before you and your fraud of a husband destroyed it. I want every crumb of cake off that floor. I want every shard of glass swept up. And I want the wine scrubbed out of the grout. But I am the bride, she whispers. You are not a bride, Jasmine. You are a woman in a dirty dress, standing in a room she cannot afford. And right now, you have a choice. You can leave with your pride and a lawsuit that will follow you for a decade, or you can pick up that mop and pay your debt with sweat equity. I pause, letting the reality sink in. And Jasmine. The cameras are still rolling. The live stream is still up. If you want to show the world you are a victim, go ahead and walk out. But if you want to show them you have even an ounce of dignity, you will clean up your own mess. My mother turns to the screen, her face purple with rage. You cannot make her do this, Serena. It is humiliating. I look at my mother. You stood on a chair and lied about a helicopter, Mom. We are way past humiliating. This is about accountability, something neither of you has ever practiced. I check my watch. You have 20 minutes left. If that floor is not spotless by the time the timer rings, I am filing the lawsuit. The silence that follows is excruciating. Jasmine looks at the mop like it is a snake. She looks at her friends who have all fled. She looks at the empty space where her husband used to be. And then she looks at the camera, at me. She sees that I am not bluffing. She sees that the sister she bullied is gone, replaced by a woman who understands the leverage of ownership. Slowly, shakily, Jasmine reaches down. Her manicured fingers close around the handle of the mop. She drags it toward the puddle of red wine. Her Vera Wang dress, which cost $12,000, trails through the mess, turning gray and sticky. She dips the mop into the water. She wrings it out, and she begins to scrub. I watch her. I do not feel joy. I do not feel sad. I feel the cold satisfaction of balance being restored. Mr. Henderson, keep the camera on her, I say. I want to inspect the work when she is done. My mother sinks back onto her folding chair, defeated. She watches her golden child scrubbing the floor on her hands and knees. The fantasy is over. The reality of who holds the power has finally settled in. I take another sip of wine. It tastes like justice. There is a sound that I will remember for the rest of my life. It is not the sound of the ocean waves gently hitting the hull of this 7-star yacht. It is not the sound of the crystal glasses chiming as Dante pours another serving of vintage Bordeaux. It is the wet, heavy slap of a gray industrial mop hitting a hardwood floor 4,000 miles away. My sister Jasmine is on her hands and knees. Her Vera Wang gown, which cost more than my first car, is now acting as an absorbent towel for stale champagne and smashed cake. The white lace is no longer white. It is a muddy, streaky gray, stained with the red wine that she threw during her tantrum and the dirt from the shoes of the guests who abandoned her. I watch her on the high-definition screen, and I take a slow, deliberate breath of salty Caribbean air. This is what accountability looks like. It is not pretty. It is not filtered. It is raw, and it smells like lemon disinfectant and regret. Mr. Henderson has stationed 2 security guards near the edge of the dance floor. They are not there to help her. They are there to ensure she does not run. They stand with their arms crossed, looking down at the bride with the kind of bored indifference usually reserved for shoplifters. Every time Jasmine stops to wipe her tears or adjust the heavy fabric of her ruined dress, one of the guards simply points to a spot she missed. "You missed a spot, ma'am," the guard says, his voice flat. "Over by the pillar. There is still frosting on the baseboard." Jasmine lets out a sob that sounds like it is tearing her throat apart, but she crawls over to the pillar. She dips a rag into the yellow bucket, wrings it out with shaking hands, and starts to scrub. Her manicured nails, the ones she showed off on Instagram just this morning, are chipping away. The illusion of the princess is being scrubbed away with every circular motion of her hand. But the cleaning is only the background noise to the main event happening near the exit doors. The police are finally moving Connor toward the waiting cruisers. He is not going quietly. The shock of the arrest has worn off, replaced by a vicious, cornered animal panic. He stops fighting the cuffs and twists his body around, searching the room with wild eyes. He is not looking for Jasmine. He is looking for the woman who introduced him to this world. He is looking for my mother, Patricia. He screams. The sound echoes off the glass walls, making Jasmine flinch. "You did this, you old witch. You pushed me." My mother is sitting on the floor near the podium. Her legs are splayed out in front of her in a way that is entirely unladylike. She looks like a marionette whose strings have been cut. She stares at Connor, but her eyes are empty. "You wanted the country club life." Connor yells, spitting as he speaks. "You told me to leverage the name. You told me nobody checks the credit if the suit is nice enough. You are just as greedy as I am. You are a leech, Patricia. A sad, desperate leech." The police officer gives him a shove, pushing him through the door, but Connor digs his heels in for one last insult. "I hope you die in the street," he bellows. "Because that is where you belong. You and your plastic daughter. You deserve nothing." The doors swing shut, cutting off his voice. The silence that follows is heavy. It is filled only by the rhythmic swishing of Jasmine's mop and the hum of the emergency generator. My mother does not move. She does not defend herself. She just sits there in her ruined lavender silk dress, listening to the truth that she spent a lifetime running from. The man she chose, the man she elevated above her own husband, the man she stole my inheritance for, just called her a leech. And the worst part is she knows he is right. Slowly, painfully, she turns her head. She looks away from the empty door and looks up at the massive projection screen. She sees me. I am sitting on the white leather sofa of the Evrima. The golden hour light is hitting my face, making my skin glow. Dante is sitting beside me, looking relaxed and powerful in his linen shirt. He hands me a glass of wine, and I take it, my movements graceful and unhurried. Our eyes meet through the camera lens. I can see the realization washing over her face. It is a physical transformation. Her jaw goes slack. Her eyes widen. She is looking at the deck of the yacht. She is looking at the jewelry I am wearing. She is looking at the man beside me, who looks at me with genuine respect and love. She realizes in this moment that she bet on the wrong horse. She spent 30 years grooming Jasmine to be the savior of the family. She spent 30 years pushing me into the shadows, treating me like a worker bee whose only purpose was to support the queen. She thought beauty and light skin were the currency of the world, but she was wrong. Ownership is the currency of the world, and I own the building she is sitting in. I raise my glass slightly in a mock toast. She flinches. She actually flinches, as if I threw the wine at her. She sees the lifestyle she chased her entire life. She sees the luxury she debased herself for, and she sees that it belongs to the daughter she threw away. On the floor, Jasmine pauses. Her arms are tired. She looks up at our mother, hoping for help, hoping that Mom will stand up and say that is enough, or come take the mop from her hands. "Mom," Jasmine whispers, "my hands hurt. Please help me." My mother looks down at her golden child. She looks at the streaked makeup, the messy hair, the gray dress. For the first time, she does not see a princess. She sees a liability. She sees a failed investment. My mother does not move. She does not offer to help. She simply turns her head back to the screen, staring at me with a hunger that is terrifying. She is wondering if it is too late. She is wondering if she can talk her way back into my good graces. She is wondering if she can swap daughters. I see the calculation in her eyes, and I feel a cold shudder slam down over my heart. "Mr. Henderson," I say, my voice cutting through the room. "Yes, Ms. Jones, how is the progress on the floor?" He looks at Jasmine, who is trembling with exhaustion. She has cleared the main dining area, Ms. Jones, but the entryway is still covered in debris, and she has not touched the restrooms yet. "The restrooms," Jasmine gasps. "You want me to clean the toilets? I want the venue returned to its original state," I say calmly. "And I believe the contract states that the facility must be left broom clean. That includes the restrooms. Unless, of course, you have $5,000 for the cleaning fee in your pocket right now." Jasmine checks her pockets. They are empty. Her phone is gone. Her husband is gone. "I didn't think so," I say. "Keep scrubbing, Jasmine. You missed a spot near your foot." She lets out a wail of despair, but she dips the rag back into the bucket. She crawls toward the entryway, dragging the heavy, wet train of her dress behind her, like a prisoner dragging a ball and chain. Dante leans close to me, his voice low, so the microphone does not pick it up. "You are enjoying this, aren't you?" I look at the screen. I look at the mother who sold my grandmother's emeralds. I look at the sister who laughed when I was homeless. "I am not enjoying their pain, Dante," I say, taking a sip of the rich, dark wine. "I am enjoying the balance. For 30 years I cleaned up their emotional messes. I cleaned up their financial mistakes. I cleaned up their secrets. Today they are simply learning how to hold the mop themselves." On the screen, Jasmine reaches the spot where the cake fell. She has to use her fingernails to scrape the dried frosting off the wood. She is crying silently now, the fight completely drained out of her. My mother watches her, and I watch my mother. We are caught in a triangle of regret and retribution. 10 minutes left. I announce, "Pick up the pace, ladies. I have a dinner reservation on the island, and I want to close this file before my appetizer arrives." Jasmine scrubs faster. My mother puts her head in her hands. And on the deck of the yacht, the sun finally slips below the horizon, plunging the world into a beautiful, expensive darkness. The blue lights of the police cruisers are painting the walls of the conservatory in rhythmic pulses of sapphire and shadow. The officers are halfway out the door, dragging a screaming Connor toward his fate. My mother is sobbing into her hands. Jasmine is wringing out a mop into a bucket of gray water. The party is over. The guests are gone. The fantasy has been dismantled brick by brick, but there is one loose end. One piece of business that needs to be settled before I sever the connection for good. Officer, wait! My voice booms through the speakers, stopping the procession in its tracks. The lead officer turns around, looking at the massive screen with confusion. Connor, who is currently trying to deadweight his way out of the arrest, looks up. His eyes are darting around like a trapped rodent. He knows. He knows exactly what I'm about to say. Officer, before you put him in the car, I suggest you check the inside pocket of his jacket. The left one. Connor starts to thrash. No, you do not have the right. This is a legal search and seizure. I want a lawyer. The officer looks at me, then back at Connor. He does not need a warrant to search a suspect who is already under arrest for felony fraud. He reaches into the jacket. Connor screams, trying to bite the officer's hand, but the second cop holds him steady. The officer pulls out a small drawstring pouch. It is old velvet worn at the corners. It is purple, the color of royalty. My mother gasps. The sound is loud enough to be picked up by the microphone 10 feet away. She recognizes that pouch. She has kept it in her safety deposit box for 30 years. It is the pouch my grandmother, Big Mama, used to keep her Sunday jewelry in. Open it, please, I say, my voice trembling slightly. The officer loosens the strings and tips the contents into his gloved hand. Even under the harsh emergency floodlights, the stones are unmistakable. Green. Deep, ancient green. The kind of green that looks like the bottom of the ocean. The Art Deco necklace glitters with a cold fire. The matching earrings lie beside it. These are not the flashy modern diamonds Jasmine likes. These are heirlooms. They carry the weight of history. They carry the spirit of the woman who was the only person to ever tell me I was beautiful. That is evidence, officer, I say softly. Those are the emeralds my mother stole from my inheritance and gave to that man to pawn. He obviously decided to keep them for himself as an insurance policy. My mother stands up. She stumbles toward the officer, her eyes fixed on the jewelry. Those are mine. She cries, reaching out. Give them to me. They belong to the family. The officer pulls his hand back. Ma'am, this man is in possession of stolen goods. This is evidence in a felony theft investigation. It gets tagged and bagged. It goes to the evidence locker. But you can't take them. My mother wails. That is all I have left. I sold the house. I sold the car. That necklace is worth $50,000. I watch her from the screen. She is not crying because she misses her mother's jewelry. She is crying because she just watched her last lifeline disappear into an evidence bag. She does not see memories. She sees a pawn ticket. Dante picks up his phone. He dials a number and puts it on speaker so I can hear. Chief Miller, it is Dante. Yes, I am watching the live stream. The officer on scene has secured the assets. Yes, the emeralds. I am filing the motion for immediate return of property tomorrow morning. Thank you, Chief. Make sure they are sealed. Dante hangs up and looks at the camera. The necklace is safe, Serena. It will be back in your hands in 48 hours. I look at my mother. She is staring at the empty velvet pouch on the floor. She looks old. The hate that fueled her for decades has burned out, leaving nothing but a hollow shell. Mom, I say. She looks up at the screen. Her face is streaked with tears and makeup. She looks like a tragic painting. You sold Big Mama's legacy, I say. You took the only thing she left me, and you traded it for a rental suit and a fake reputation. You wanted to buy honor, Mom. You wanted to buy status. But you forgot one thing. What? She whispers. Status is rented, legacy is owned, and you just lost the lease on both. I signal to Mr. Henderson. Cut the feed, Marcus. Wait. My mother screams, stepping forward. Serena, wait. What are we supposed to do? Where do we go? The house is gone. The money is gone. Please don't leave us here. I look at her one last time. I look at Jasmine still holding the mop. I look at the wreckage of the wedding that was supposed to prove they were better than me. You figure it out, Mom. I say, repeating the words she said to me 10 years ago. Hardship builds character. And looking at you two, I think you have a lot of building to do. I press the button. The screen goes black. The connection is severed. The window into their misery is closed, leaving me in the silence of the Caribbean night. Dante reaches over and takes the empty wine glass from my hand. He pulls me into his arms. I rest my head on his shoulder, and for the first time in 30 years, I finally let myself cry. Not tears of sadness, but tears of release. The weight is gone. The emeralds are coming home. And I am finally free. 6 months have passed since the disaster at the conservatory. Time is a funny thing. When you are suffering, it moves like molasses. But when you are healing, it moves like a river, cleaning out the debris and leaving fresh soil behind. I am standing on the balcony of the Oakwood estate. The morning sun is hitting the trees, casting long, dappled shadows across the manicured lawn. The air smells of jasmine and fresh-cut grass. It is quiet here, peaceful. It is hard to believe that this is the same place where my sister screamed at a chef and my mother tried to tackle a con artist. We gutted the conservatory. We tore out the floors that were stained with cake and bad memories. We replaced the glass. We sage-smudged every corner to clear out the energy of desperation. Now it is just a house, a beautiful historic house that I own free and clear. I pick up the local newspaper from the patio table. I don't usually read the classifieds, but today I am looking for something specific. I turn to the real estate section. There it is, a small listing at the bottom of page 4, bank-owned foreclosure. 3-bedroom colonial on Peachtree Lane, needs work, sold as is. My childhood home, my mother's fortress. It sold yesterday for a fraction of what she thought it was worth. The bank took it all. The furniture, the art, the pretension. I fold the paper and set it down. I don't feel happy about it. I just feel a sense of completion. The cycle is closed. My phone buzzes. It is a text from an old friend who still lives in town. She sent me a picture. It is a grainy photo taken from a distance inside a department store at the mall. The photo shows a woman in a beige uniform kneeling on the floor fitting a shoe onto a customer's foot. The woman looks tired. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun. She is not wearing makeup. It is Jasmine. The caption under the photo reads, "Guess who just sold me a pair of discount loafers?" She didn't even recognize me. I look at the picture. Jasmine, the girl who used to mock service workers, is now serving. She is working on commission selling shoes to the very people she used to look down on. I zoom in on her face. She looks humbled. Maybe for the first time in her life she is learning the value of a dollar earned rather than a dollar given. And my mother. The last I heard, she is living in a 1-bedroom apartment near the highway. She works as a receptionist at a dental office. She answers phones. She makes appointments. She is invisible. The social climber has fallen off the ladder and landed in obscurity. I put the phone away. I don't need to see anymore. Their punishment is their life. They have to wake up every day and be themselves without the money to mask their ugliness. That is a harsher sentence than any judge could give. Serena. I turn around. Dante is standing in the doorway. He is wearing a white tuxedo. He looks like a movie star, but his eyes are warm and real. "Are you ready?" "You?" he asks. The guests are seated. I smile. I am ready. I walk back into the room and stand in front of the full-length mirror. My dress is simple. It is silk, cream-colored, elegant. No sequins, no massive ball gown. Just clean lines and quality fabric. But the centerpiece of my outfit is around my neck. The Art Deco emeralds glow against my dark skin. They are heavy, cool, and magnificent. They are back where they belong. Not in a pawn shop, not in a safety deposit box, but on the skin of the woman Big Mama chose. I walk out of the room and take Dante's arm. We walk down the grand staircase of the estate. The house is full of flowers, white lilies, and green ferns. But unlike Jasmine's wedding, there is no frantic energy. There is no screaming. We walk out onto the lawn. There are only 50 chairs. Sitting in them are not bankers or socialites or fake friends. They are my business partners, my mentors, my college roommate who let me sleep on her couch when I was homeless. The people who saw Serena. The person not Serena, the scapegoat. My father is there. He is sitting in the front row. He looks healthier than I have seen him in years. He moved out of the apartment with my mother 2 months ago. He lives in a small cottage near the lake now. He fishes. He smiles. He is free too. As I walk down the aisle, I look at the faces of the people who love me. I look at the beautiful estate that I bought with my own intelligence and grit. I look at the man waiting for me at the altar who loves every part of me. I reach the front and Dante takes my hands. The ocean breeze blows through the trees, whispering through the leaves. I look out past the guests, past the property line toward the horizon. Somewhere out there in the city, my mother is answering a phone and my sister is scanning a barcode. They are living the life they created, and I am living mine. People always say that success is the best revenge. But standing here with the emeralds resting against my heartbeat, I realize that is not quite right. Revenge implies that I am doing this for them, that I am succeeding to spite them. But I am not thinking about them. I am not living for them. The best revenge is not success. The best revenge is indifference. It is reaching a place where their opinion does not matter, where their absence is a gift, and where their existence is just a footnote in the story of your joy. I look at Dante. I squeeze his hand. I do. I say. And as I kiss my husband, I know that I have won the only prize that matters. I have won myself. This story proves that you cannot build a life on the foundation of other people's approval. My family traded their integrity for the illusion of status, while I quietly built a reality they couldn't see. True freedom is realizing your worth is never a negotiation. You don't need to prove them wrong, you just need to outgrow the small box they tried to keep you in. The best revenge isn't making them pay. It is living a life so full that their absence doesn't even leave an echo. Have you ever had to walk away to find yourself? Share your story below, and hit subscribe if you are ready to reclaim your power.